Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, gamers. How's it going? We are doing a Fire Emblem Fates skills tier list, specifically the personal skills tier list. I already did the generic skills, sort of ranking them, and I asked my patrons what they wanted me to do next for tier lists, and they said a Fates personal skills tier list. So, I listened. I'm doing it, right? Quick little bit before we get started. The tiers are S through D, although I've given them each a appropriate anagram name. I had to struggle with B, but we have Superb in S tier, Awesome for A tier. B tier is better than nothing. This means it'll have some beneficial effects sometimes, but, you're not super thrilled about it, but it is better than nothing. Whereas Cope is functionally nothing. Cope is like, yes, it does something, but you're really coping. If you're like, oh, but Charlotte, female enemies, against the Sky Knights in like 2 chapters or whatever, those sorts of things where most of the time it's not going to be doing anything for you. Like Dwyer is the perfect cope example because technically his personal skill is active on invasions 1 through 3, but realistically, like, it's like not having a personal skill, right? And then D for detrimental, because some of these personal skills have downsides. Some of them will have attached, like, this is the bad thing that happens. And if a personal skill is detrimental, I'm gonna, rank it lower than a personal skill being nothing. Cough, Arthur Cough. He's the only one I can think of initially, but there might be others. Yeah. As far as the skills are concerned, I'm not necessarily judging them in a vacuum. I'm judging them with the knowledge that since these are personal skills, they're attached to specific units. So what does that mean? I'm not going to be penalizing a skill or rewarding a skill for how good the unit is. So like Ryoma's personal skill doesn't get to be S tier just because it's on Ryoma, right? It's going to be judged on its own merits. But if a skill does not fit a unit's kit, then I will be factoring that in. A couple of examples of that. Setsuna has a skill about getting healed, but she's a fragile archer, so usually she avoids counterattacks anyway. Odin has a skill that gives him critical hits, but he doesn't have access to any other crit boosting skills except for he can marry Charlotte for Gamble, but he can't do anything to get the Oni line, which is how you, well, I guess Corrin, but outside from Corrin marriage, he has a hard time getting other critical skills, so that's worse on him. Meanwhile, someone like Azama, right, where his skill works if he's unarmed, well, he starts in a Stafflock class, so that's good on him. Hayato has a skill that boosts the damage output if the enemy is a higher level of him. I think it's called Pride. And that's good on Hayato, because in Birthright he joins underleveled, and in Rev he joins right before you face a ton of promoted enemies. So there are some units who the skill, Pride would be bad on Ryoma, who joins overleveled, but it's good on Hayato, who joins underleveled. That sort of thing, right? So I will be factoring that in, rather than being like, oh, Optimistic would be really good if it was on Benny, so I'm gonna rate it highly. It's like, no, we're looking at them based on who they're attached to, but I'm not going to penalize for a unit. If I think Setsuna's like S tier, Optimistic doesn't auto get S tier, right? If I think Setsuna's D tier, it doesn't auto get D tier. It is still judging on the skill's merit, but in the context that they exist in. No randomizers here. Worth noting, I don't have every personal skill memorized, so I do have a list on the other screen to sort of match the icon with the personal skill. This has them organized. I don't know how this is organized. It's definitely not alphabetically, because like Optimistic is first and that's O. And it's not in like recruit order because that would be supportive Corrins, and supportives is like all the way down here. So I don't know what we're doing, but I mentioned Setsuna's Optimistic, so I think it's a cope skill. Optimistic means that you get healed, I think it's 1.5 times? Yeah, 1.5 times normal HP recovery when healed by a staff or rod. So it doesn't even apply to vulneraries. It's just when other people hear you. Setsuna is a fragile archer. So she shouldn't be facing too many counterattacks anyway. She shouldn't be getting attacked on enemy phase. I think optimistic is cope. On a unit with actual bulk, I would put it in like better than nothing, maybe even awesome. But on Setsuna, it very much feels like she might as well not have a personal skill, right? So I'm gonna put it in cope for that reason. Forceful Partner, on the other hand, is Gunter's personal skill. If supporting Corrin, Corrin gets plus 15 hit and 3 damage dealt. I think this is an awesome skill. I don't think it quite reaches Superb because it is limited to just Corrin. Corrin's a phenomenal unit, and Gunter makes a good backpack in either Conquest or Rev. You know, he starts out in Great Knight, which is a good backpack class. He can reclass into Wyvern, which is a good backpack class. So Gunter likes being in the backpack role. Worth noting, this also works in attack stance. If Gunter is the attack stance partner, then Corrin does still get the benefit. All of these, if supporting, apply to both attack and guard stance. So that's nice. I think for Gunter, it is awesome. It's definitely the best of these partner skills. Although you get it latest in Conquest, but in Rev, you get it early, right? Devoted Partner is Felicia's, or Devoted Partner is Jacob's. Evasive Partner is Jacob's. Evasive Partner is the blue one. This is definitely the worst of them, but I still think it's good. It's the defense boosting one, right? 15 avoid and minus 3 damage taken. The nice thing about this being on Jacob is even though Jacob, at least in his base class, doesn't make a great pair-up bot, you know, you could reclass him to Great Knight if you want him to be Corrin's backpack, but he does make a good attack stance bot, both because he has unusually high strength and because if he's standing next to Corrin, if Jacob's the early servant, he's going to be giving Corrin Gentilhomme, because in that case, Corrin's a woman. And the same applies to Felicia with Demoiselle, because in that case, Corrin is a man. Now, late Jacob, it's less good on because you match the genders, you don't give Demoiselle and Gentilhomme. But in the early game, like if you pick early Jacob, this is a very good part of his kit because it's total of minus 5 damage taken because of Gentilhomme. So I think that's pretty good. Felicia has the more balanced one, Devoted Partner, plus 2 damage dealt, minus 2 damage taken. Just, you know, right in the middle. It's minus 4 if it's early Felicia because, again, she'll have Demoiselle. It'll benefit Corrin in that way. But these are just very good skills. Like, the damage boost of 2 or 3 and the defense boost of 2 or 3 are nice. I like the hit rate on Forceful Partner. The reason Evasive Partner is the worst one, in my opinion, is the avoid rate is kind of copy. But hey, plus 2 defense and functionally plus 3 defense, functionally plus 5 if you have female Corrin is nice. Like, especially in Birthright's early game, if you pick Jacob for Birthright, there's a lot of enemy phasing to be done, and having Corrin just get an extra boost, it can let him use the Yado instead of the Dragonstone and start building sword rank if you want. Or let her, because it would be female Corrin, but sorry. My last run I used a male Corrin, so I'm probably going to say him for Corrin most of the time, even though early game Jacob, it literally can't be. It literally can't be him, but yeah. Just getting that out of the way. Opportunist. This is Baruka's personal skill. It's plus 4 damage if the enemy can't counter. Baruka does start out in an axe class. So you can use a hand axe to get it, or you can just attack archers. I think this is a superb personal skill. I think plus 4 is a huge damage boost. It's a little bit awkward to get on Baruka, because you either got to use a hand axe, which is not the best weapon on, well, Baruka has a good skill stat. It's just that, like, she does not get to double things, right? And it's not the greatest might. Or you can attack archers, but I think it's not the hardest to get the damage boost on, and 4 damage is a huge boost. I think this is our first of these superb skills. It's just nice. Like, it's just pretty self-explanatorily nice. Now, what is this one? There's a little star and a little human. This must be a Gen 2 one or something, right? It's not Prodigy. It's not... I don't know what this personal skill is. Bravery... Give me a second. Oh, that's Pride. I mentioned this already, but Pride is really good. It's on Hayato. It is if the foe has a higher level than you, +3 damage dealt. This is also superb. I think this is probably better than Opportunist because it's easier condition to activate. It does eventually expire, but Hayato starts out as a trainee, right? So he's always going to be a lower level in Birthright. And then in Rev, he's also oftentimes going to be a lower level, especially against promoted enemies. Eventually, as a trainee, he's going to snowball to the point where he doesn't get Pride. But by the time he doesn't get the Pride access, he doesn't need it. I think this is a superb skill. Unfortunately, Hayato in Birthright is still not a very good unit, but Pride is what makes him sort of salvageable. Like, it stops him from being even more worthless, right? Even more worthless. So that's, you know, that's pretty good. That is definitely worthy of superb. Is that fancy footwork down there? I don't think that's fancy footwork. It might be. Fancy. Yeah, that's fancy footwork. So fancy footwork is a rally for +1 speed and strength. This stacks with rally strength and rally speed, so you can get a total of +5 if you get those with Laszlo, and he has relatively easy access to them. Azura Marriage or Selena Marriage gets him speed, and a friendship, he has Keaton Friendship to get rally strength. I think this is also superb. I think this is better than Pride, personally. Cancel me, Pride Month. But fancy footwork, better than Pride. This, even without stacking it with other rallies, comes up way more often than you would think. Oftentimes you'll be like, I'm just 1 speed shy of doubling. I'm just 1 strength shy of killing things. I know in Laszlo's join map in Rev, there's a lot of thresholds for Leo and Xander, where they just 1 speed short of doubling people, and Laszlo can enable that. He can also enable Ryoma, who's already doubling, to just deal more damage. Outside of the join situation, I mean, in his join situation in Conquest, there's also certain thresholds that the rally helps him meet, but I don't know them off the top of my head because I'm not as familiar as Conquest. But even outside of that, just having fancy footwork on a unit who is otherwise, like, who's not your rally bot, right? Sometimes you'll run into a situation where you're like, oh, fancy footwork will help out here. And then if you turn Laszlo into your rally bot, it makes him the best rally bot because he can get +5 instead of just +4. It sort of defines a role for Laszlo. And it's not the only role that he can go into, but it is, in my opinion, his best role. And that's pretty darn good. Lily's Poise, we're knocking out some... The Fates has some really fucking good personal skills, can I just say? Like, we're knocking out some great ones. Lily's Poise, I'm gonna put above Pride, but below Fancy Footwork. Adjacent allies deal an extra point of damage and take 3 less damage. This is on Elise, and it is a big reason why Elise Wyvern, it's not the only reason, but it's a big reason why Elise Wyvern is good in the early game. Because I would argue it's actually counter-synergistic with Elise as a Troubadour. It seems like it would be synergistic because she's a support unit and it's a support skill. But if you're doing attack stance gaming, then Elise being adjacent while not having a weapon, she can steal the attack stance dual strike from someone you want to do attack stance with. And so you run into this situation where she has to be adjacent to activate Lily's Poise, but if she's adjacent, she can steal attack stance from people if she has higher support, or if the supports are tied and the RNG just doesn't go in your favor. So instead, reclassing her to Wyvern gives her the ability to still provide Lily's Poise and then be able to land those dual strikes. And they're not going to be like the greatest dual strikes, but Wyvern's stats are good enough in Conquest early game. In Rev, you know, Rev Elise, I just did a video on her. She's not great. But Lily's Poise is still a superb personal skill. And if you do reclass her to Wyvern, you get around that sort of counter synergy from Troubadour. But yeah, just very, very good. Camilla has the inverse with Rose's Thorns. I'm going to skip over this one for now. Camilla's is better. I also think it's better than Fancy Footwork. It is +3 damage, -1 attack. She doesn't have to deal with the counter synergy of Elise because she is promoted, so no matter what she reclasses into, she'll always have a weapon type. She can always attack stance and provide Rose's Thorns. And I also think outputting more damage is better than reducing the damage taken, but she does both. Like, they do both. It's just she does 3 damage and 1 defense. Elise does 3 defense and 1 damage. The fact that Camilla is such a strong unit means she also has very, very strong dual strikes. And so whereas Lily's Poise has counter synergy with attack stance, Rose's Thorns makes a stack stance even better because you get Camilla dual strike. And that can be good for training up your underleveled units, just getting a really strong dual strike to get them the experience you want. And then at the same time, you're boosting their damage with Rose's Thorns. This is one of the best personal skills in the game. And then, of course, they gave it to Alear because Avatar favoritism. But yeah, this is definitely going to remain unthroned for a while, I would say, probably. Is that the Dragon Stone one, the crown? No, that's Peacebringer. Peacebringer, -2 damage dealt by all units within a 2-tile radius of the user. I think this is actually detrimental. I think it's not all downside. It's functionally +2 defense and res to Izana. But Izana's not like an enemy phase unit. He's not even really a combat unit. He's more of a support unit. And this is, in theory, a support aura. You can get enemies to deal less damage by having them near Izana. But it also affects allies. And I think positioning-wise is far more likely to impact your damage than the enemy damage. There are times you can sort of play around with it and get the benefit without the downside, but I think more often than not you get the downside than the benefit. And even if you're getting both the benefit and the downside, usually it's not a worthwhile trade. Like, I'd much rather take 2 more damage and deal 2 more damage. So I think I'm gonna leave this in detrimental. I think this is our first personal skill that I think is actually bad. This is Aching Blood. It's not called Aching Blood, it's called something else. No, it's called Aching Blood. It's literally just called Aching Blood. +10 crit if you're using a forge whose name includes 12 characters. Interestingly, in the Japanese version, it's 8 characters because the kanji are larger. But yeah, if you name something with a really long name, this is a huge flavor skill, but like I mentioned, Odin doesn't have easy access to other crit skills, and I also just don't think crit builds are particularly good. And Odin wants to be using Nosferatu most of the time, which doesn't have the ability to crit anyway. So this is such a fucking cope skill. It's not detrimental, there's no downside, but like, you have to forge, you have to forge, you have to use not Nosferatu, and you have to use not a fire tome either, like no bronze weapons. What the fuck are we doing? And then you gotta give it a fancy name. Great flavor, terrible skill. Unfortunate, but honestly, Odin's fine without a personal skill. Like, if anything, this tier list should demonstrate that the units with bad personal skills, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that they have bad personal skills. Like, if a unit with a bad personal skill is bad, they're bad despite the bad, or, you know, it's the bad personal skill doesn't help them, right? But this is the sort of Ashe is F tier because of lock touch thing, where it's like, no, Ashe has other problems. Personal skills are not the most important thing in Fire Emblem. Bibliophile is very similar to Odin's. If Ophelia has 4 scrolls, I think it is, 4 scrolls, she gets +10 crit. So it's the same bonus, 3 tomes or more. Same bonus, different condition, very flavorful, but very bad. Once again, Ophelia, not great at accessing crit. So, like, what are we doing? At the very least, Ophelia is not really a Nosferatu unit. Because she joins late enough that you usually have better tomes at that point, and Nosferatu's sort of worn out its welcome. She can still Nos, but it's not as bad as Odin. I think Odin's is an easier condition to no, actually, this is basically free. You usually have 3 or more tomes on your mages. So yeah, this is an easier condition to fill. I'll put it above, but honestly, they're both cope. And Dwyer's is the ultimate cope. Dwyer's skill, what is it, Fierce Steward or something? Basically, it boosts his damage in exclusively the invasion battles, because it's against foreign army. You deal 2 extra damage. What is it called? Do we need to actually talk about Born Stewer? 2 damage dealt, 2 damage less taken, 20 hit, 20 avoid when fighting in the My Castle. I guess this is actually probably better than the crit skills because you do actually fight in invasions, but it's still cope tier. Like, it's still easily cope tier. Yeah, it's cope. Calm is Hisame's personal skill. When you choose the wait command, +4 skill, +4 resistance. I think this is better than nothing. Skill and res are not the most valuable stats out there, but it is extra stats, and if you've got nothing better to do, if Hisame's like enemy phasing, which he's not the greatest at, but he's not the worst at, he can just choose to wait, get in a little bit of extra skill, get a little bit of extra res. Maybe that helps him to like throw a Kodachi at a mage or something. I don't know. It's better than nothing. You can do some weird stuff where you like activate calm, dance him, and then attack a mage. The extra skill means that he's not going to miss as often too. It's fine. Like, it's fine. It's better than nothing. What's the 2 stars? Is that the happiness skill that Soleil has, or no? That's Why are these ordered so weirdly? Give me a second. Oh, that's Sophie's personal skill, Mischievous. It's a seal defense. Whenever you initiate combat and hit, -3 defense debuff on the foe and remove their clothes. This is another better than nothing. I think it's better than Calm. I don't really think the debuffs are that good in Fates, because in Conquest and Birthright, you're usually just one-rounding foes anyway. And in Rev, where debuffs are at their strongest, you still oftentimes 2-round without it. It's basically +3 extra damage if you're 2-rounding, which is like cool, I guess. The fact it's only active on player phase also makes it weaker. I guess if you're like teaming up against Armor Knights and you don't have any mages, Sophie can reduce defense first by like chucking a javelin, and then everyone else can start pounding away with hammers and armor slayers. That's something. Like, I can see situations where you're happy to have Mischievous, but I think for the most part, I don't really care for it. It's just sort of, it's so situational. It's so situational, because normally you're 1-rounding anyway, or 2-rounding without the debuff. Is the 3, it is technically 3 extra damage, which is the same as like, you know, these skills, but it's conditional on the fact you're 2-rounding with another unit, and it's player phase only. So I think it does belong in better than nothing. Pragmatic is Leo's personal skill. If the foe's HP is less than full, +3 damage dealt and -1 damage taken. This is another one for if you're teaming up to kill things. I think this is worse than Gunter and Felicia's skills, but better than Jacob's. The +3 damage is nice. It's a big damage boost. But like I said with Sophie, it is unlikely that you're going to need it as often. Like, I think you're fighting full HP foes more often than you're fighting injured foes. That being said, this is just better than Sophie's because it's 3 damage dealt and -1 taken, and it's both player and enemy phase. So it can help Leo to 2-round people if he attacks them on player phase, and then on enemy phase, he deals the extra damage. It can help him against, you know, someone else gets weakened and he fights multiple people on enemy phase. I think that's just, it's better than Sophie's overall, but it's still, I think I'd put it in awesome. I don't think it's better than nothing. I think it's going to come up less than the full HP, or than the full HP triggered skills, but it's still pretty good. It also, the fact that it not only increases your offense but also your defense helps for sweeping strategies against these stronger foes. So that's pretty cool, I think. Next up, oh, this is the Selena one, the rivalry, Fierce Rivalry, I think it's called. Where if you are in attack stance, and yeah, Fierce Rival. If you're in attack stance and you're the backup and the other person lands a crit, then you also land a crit, but you're not guaranteed to hit, so you can get the rare crit miss. This is so fucking situational. Like, first off, crit builds are not very good, but then you have to be doing specifically attack stance crit with Selena, and it doesn't guarantee her hit. This is the most cope skill of all time. This is the most cope skill of all time. Counter Curse is Nyx's, and it's on enemy phase. You counter enemy magic attack for half damage. This is this is one that's hurt pretty badly by who it's on, right? It still wouldn't be a great skill on someone other than Nyx, but Nyx is a frail unit and she has good res, so she doesn't take much damage from enemy mages, so Counter Curse won't be dealing much damage anyway. And you don't want Nyx enemy phasing too often because her HP is not great, right? I mean, no one's HP is great, but her HP and defense aren't great. She can at least, I guess, semi-reliably enemy phase large groups of mages. This feels like a better cope skill than Setsuna's, but it's still firmly in the cope category. Like, why are we having Nyx enemy phase groups of mages just to get extra Counter Curse procs? Worth noting also, if you kill something with Counter Curse, you don't get experience, so Nyx can EXP Thief herself, which I don't think is bad enough to put this in detrimental, but it is funny. Like, it is genuinely funny. Triple Threat. When Hinata, it's Hinata's personal skill, and when he gets dropped down to 50% HP, he will reflect back. Only by sword, lance, and axes. Oh god. If a sword, lance, or axe brings him to 50% or less HP, he counters for half damage. So this is like the counter skill, but it only affects swords, lances, and axes. I guess it's not fully counter skill because it also works at 2 range, but only once and only if you get dropped down to 50%. At least it's on Hinata, who is a genuinely bulky unit, but this is cope. This is cope as shit. This is cope as shit, right? Like, I'm putting it above Counter Curse because Hinata is actually bulky. Actually, Counter Curse can proc multiple times in a single turn. This cannot. I'm gonna say Counter Curse is better than Triple Threat. Nyx fans rejoice in the chat. Nor Entity. When fighting a Nor-related enemy, +3 damage dealt. This is based on I believe this is based on the class that the enemy starts out in, and you face mostly Norian classes in, mostly Norian classes in Birthright. In Rev, it's more like situational, because you face both Norian and Hoshidan classes, but in Birthright, it's procs on almost every enemy, although notably, Stoneborn and Faceless are not considered Norian, they're neutral classes, right? I think this is a superb class, like a superb skill. 3 damage for free. It's basically just strength +3, right? This might be better. This might be worse than Camilla's. It's better than Laszlo though. Like, it's just free, especially since it's on Oboro, who in Birthright just gets free damage. Like, it's just free damage. Free damage is nice. I like free damage. The only reason I think Camilla's is better is it can provide free damage to more than one unit, right? And it does the -1 damage taken. So this is a very good personal skill on a very good unit. Oboro is goated, so we like that. It's the Wrath of God thing. It's Izana's personal skill, or Izama's personal skill. Divine Retribution. If the unit has no weapons equipped, counter adjacent attacks for half damage. So it's the counter skill only if you're unarmed. I think it's better than nothing. It's close to being a cope skill, but I do think, I mean, until he promotes, Izama's probably going to be unarmed most of the time. I guess you can heart seal him. It's nice. It's nice just to get the extra damage. Like, this feels better than nothing coded. kind of like getting extra stats or extra damage for basically free. In fact, I think I like this better than Hisame's, even though once you promote a reclass Isama, it's nothing, like it's gone. Maybe the fact it expires means, yeah, we do that. This is Kana's personal skill. This is the Dragonstone boosting one. Or rather, when you have a Dragonstone equipped, you recover some HP. Where is that listed on here? Gallant, Collector, Unmask. I think it's going to be under the neutrals, isn't it? Peacebringer, Vow, Friendship, Forager, Fiery Blood. Give me a second. Yeah, so Draconic Air. When Dragonstone is equipped, recover 15% HP at the start of turn. That's better than nothing. In fact, it's better than the skill res one, I think. Worse than Sophie's, but hey, you know, Dragonstone is meant for tanking. I guess Dragonstone Plus is not really tanking, but Dragonstone's meant for taking. I guess if you're doing like Vantage Dragonstone Plus stuff, it could be detrimental, but like don't do Vantage Dragonstone Plus stuff. Kana is not good at it. Kana's HP is not great, so a 15% recovery is not going to be huge. But if you're tanking with the Dragonstone, you've probably got pretty good defenses. It can be the difference between life and death. Like, I think it's better than nothing, but it's not something I'd write home about. And that's sort of what the better than nothing tier was made for. Rallying Cry is Hinoka's personal skill. 2 damage, 2 extra damage dealt by all allies within a 2-tile radius of the user. I think this is pretty awesome. This is like the wider range but weaker version of Camilla's personal skill. I like how, so stabs are 1 range, but they heal more. Camilla gets +3 damage, but it has to be adjacent. Hinoka gets +2 damage within 2 tiles. Rods are healing a little bit less, but they're 2 range. The same thing happens with Sakura's personal skill and Elise's personal skill, right? I think this is pretty good. You can boost a lot of people with +2. In fact, I like it better than Jacob and Leo, I think. Not better than Felicia, not better than Gunter, but Rallying Cry, I'd put it right here. I think that's a pretty good place for it. Pyrotechnics. So I know there are people who would slam this in detrimental immediately, but I would argue it's at the very least in cope. And here's why, because it does have a downside. This is Saizo's personal skill, right? I think it's like here. It does have a downside. If you are below 50% HP and initiate combat, you and all enemies within 2 tiles take 20% of their maximum HP as non-lethal damage after combat. So this can never kill you, but it oftentimes reduces you to 1 HP. The fact that it's player phase only means you can pretty easily decide when it is beneficial to get that extra chip damage. The 20% HP can be nice in terms of, you know, helping to team up against enemies, or just like, since you don't have to attack the enemy, just be within 2 tiles of them. Have Saizo attack and kill someone, chips other people down, and sets up kills for others, right? I think if this didn't negatively impact Saizo, it would easily go here. The reason I'm putting it in cope is, I think it's better than actually, it's probably the top of cope. Or the bottom of better than nothing. You can play around it with stuff like Physic and Wayne Festal. Physic on Rev, Wayne Festal on Birthright, to sort of heal him up above the 50% when it would be like bad for him to lose the HP. I think I'm gonna put this in the bottom of better than nothing, actually. The chip damage can be nice for setting up kills. You know, it's very comparable to Sophie's, but with a downside attached to it. But it hits more people, and you don't have to attack someone for the chip damage to go off. It combos nicely with Poison Strike in Ninja, I guess, as well. And you can do like the funny Saizo Malignite, Poison Strike, Savage Blow, Pyrotechnics, blow up everyone's HP build, and that's kind of funny. But that build is cope, right? Like, if that's the only reason it were good, it would be very much a cope skill. I think this is better than nothing, because you can set up kills by reducing damage while killing someone else. But it does definitely get dragged down by injuring Saizo himself. Cool flavor stuff that he's like just exploding, right? All right, so this is Mozu's personal skill. It's Harvester, right? Forager. If the user stands on a mountain, forest, wasteland, or field terrain, recovers 20% HP at the start of turn. This is Cope. This is Cope as shit. Like here, I think, worse than Nyx, better than Hinata. So the main reason it's Cope is Mozu is a frail player phase unit. She wants to archer stuff from 2 range and not face counters, or stab stuff with a spear and kill it and not face counters. She is incredibly frail. She has super low HP, so 20% HP is usually like 1, 2, maybe 3 HP total for her. Or I guess it would be 2. It's 2, 2, 4, 6, because I'm thinking 10. It's like 2 HP, 4 HP, 6 HP, depending. It's not great. It's not great, right? Because she starts out with like 16. 20% is 16. Is like 2 or 3, something like that. Yeah, it's like 3. Not a great amount of healing. Mozu doesn't want to take damage anyway, because she's very frail. And there's not a lot of mountains, wastelands, well, there's a lot of fields, actually. There's a good number of fields, but there's not a lot of mountains, forests, and wastelands. So depending on the map, this can be just basically entirely shut off. In the late game, when you're all in indoor maps, like, what are we doing, right? But even when we get it, even when it activates frequently, it's just not, it's not the selling point of Mozu. It's just not very good. Fiery Blood. Oh boy. Fiery Blood. If the user's HP is less than full, plus 4 damage. This is Opportunist on crack. This is Opportunist, but far easier to activate. I think it's still worse than Rose's Thorns, but it's on Rinka. Rinka can easily like take a point of damage, take a couple of points of damage, and then tank tons of physical enemies. The fact that it boosts her damage is why she's able to do like mage Rinka builds in Birthright. And it's why she's able to deal any damage in Rev. Like she goes from dealing 0 damage to the spear fighters to like 4 damage, right? That sort of stuff. Fiery Blood is just really good. It's not that hard to find an enemy that deals like a little bit of damage to Rinka, either mages in the Birthright route or anyone in Rev. And then you just get this almost permanent damage boost. It's Opportunist on crack. As it turns out, damage boosting skills are good, and when they're easy to activate, they're very good. Oh, this is the one where when you're getting attacked. This is fucking forests, isn't it? It's called like surprise in German. Fierce counter, I think. Where is forest? Forest fierce rival. I'll just go counter. Counter curse. Fierce counter. Yeah, if a male foe initiates combat, plus 2 damage dealt by user. Most enemies are male, but Forest is also pretty frail. Plus 2 damage is nice. It's basically free on enemy phase. If you do like Sorcerer Forest stuff, it's pretty good. I'm gonna put in better than nothing, just because Forest tends to be too frail to do a lot of enemy phase stuff. But probably better than Sophie. I'm gonna put it better than nothing. If this were on someone tankier, like Leo, this would be phenomenal. And like I've done enemy phase forest builds, like Sorcerer, Dark Knight Forest, those sorts of things. It's a helpful part of the kit. He has a very, very high magic stat, and so just it helps to stack even more damage. But yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world. It's definitely not the greatest thing in the world. That is for certain. Vow of Friendship is fucking S tier. This unthrones Camilla. If Corrin's HP is 50% or less, 3 damage dealt and 3 damage taken, or -3 taken by the user, right? It gives Silas a extra 3 strength, extra 3 defense, extra 3 res. The only condition is Corrin needs to be below 50% HP. That's a very achievable thing. If you've got like a support Corrin, like I like Rallybot Corrin, right? But you can do like pair up Corrin, then it's basically free. Let Corrin get attacked once and then hide them away in like a backpack or keep them on the back lines while rallying. But even if you're doing combat Corrin, it's pretty easy to manage Corrin's HP. Like have him attack with the Dragon Stone so he doesn't take any damage, have him attack with the Yato so he does take damage, heal him up after Sylas's turn so Sylas can benefit from Vow of Friendship. It might be worse than Camilla's because it only affects Sylas, but Sylas is a pretty damn good unit. It's definitely better than Rinka. It's definitely better than Rinka's because, like, I'll take the six total, three reduction, 3 damage, rather than the 4 total, even though that 4 goes into damage, which I do like the damage more. But I like 3 damage dealt, 3 damage reduced, more than 4 damage dealt. It's a little bit harder to activate, but not that hard. Yeah, I like Vow of Friendship a lot. Very, very good skill. Oh, is that Anna's personal skill? Make a killing. Luck % chance to get a gold bar after you defeat an enemy. That's cope. That's cope. That's a cope skill. That's a cope skill. Sisterhood. This is Soleil's personal skill. If the user is a lead unit and the supporter is female, +2 damage dealt, -2 taken. So again, this applies to both attack stance and guard stance. Lets her pair up with someone like Valoria, can help to boost. I like Great Knight Sophie as a boost. This is good. This is good. I think this is worse than Rinka's. It's easier to activate, but +2, -2, in my opinion, less valuable than just +4, right? But still pretty easy to activate. Like, you just need to make sure that her partner is female, and that's pretty easy. There's a lot of good females who make either good dual strikers or good backpacks. You can choose her mother, like Great Knight Perry makes a good backpack, and they have the automatic C support as well for extra stats if you do her mother. Camilla Mom, I mean, Camilla shouldn't be a backpack, but like Camilla Mom with attack stance is pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot of options. It's a good personal skill. It's a superb personal skill, in fact. Oh, this is Cadence or Keaton's? This is one of those forage resources. You forage resources. It's like Cadence gifts or something. No, Cadence is a different... Oh, hold on. Give me a second. What is this? Is this Goodie Basket? Oh, no, that's not Goodie Basket either. What the fuck is this? Oh my god, this is Caden's personal skill, Reciprocity. Whenever Caden is healed, he basically gives Live to Serve to the healer. When he's healed, the staff wielder recovers the same amount of HP. This is cope. This is cope. This is like this level of cope. Why is your staff wielder taking damage? I guess like promoted Omnioji or Falcon Knights can benefit from it, or if you're doing fucking this shit. This is cope. This is cope as shit. Live to Serve is already like only good on Jacob and Felicia, and then like giving Live to Serve only if you heal Caden. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. Haiku. If you have 3 units arranged in a vertical line, and those 3 units include, because this is Mitama's personal skill, right? So Mitama is directly, oh, Mitama's gotta be in the middle. Okay, if there's an ally directly above the user and an ally directly below the user, restore 7 HP to the user and 5 to each of those allies. Very, very cute flavor skill. Ultimate cope. Like, 575 isn't even that much HP. I guess it's like, depending on the unit, it can be a decent amount, but you've got to arrange specifically in the line. Mitama's the one who gets the 7 as well, so you can't be like, oh, this guy needs more healing, I'll put him in the middle. Nope, Mitama's gotta be in the middle. It's so fucking cope. It's so fucking cope. Like, this is absurd levels of cope. Okay, what is this? This is not Wind Discipline, is it? Oh, this is Healing Descendant. So Azura heals allies within a 2-tile radius by 10%. That's better than nothing. This is like here, healing, like group healing, 10% is not a lot. It'll often be like 2 or 3 points, but that can sometimes make the difference. It's easier to pull off than Mitama's. Maybe, I'm talking about Azura's, and I do get a lot of use out of Azura's, like pulling over those tiny thresholds. Maybe that means Mitama goes into Better Than Nothing as well. Yeah, I like it here. I think I haven't really gotten much use out of it with Mitama because it's so specific to line things up. It feels cope. It feels cope, but experientially, there's a lot you can do with just the tiny amount of healing that Azura gives. And so Mitama giving probably more healing than just 10%. Because like 10% is like 1, 2, 3 HP, right? It's gonna be less, unless you have a 50 HP unit, it's gonna be less than Haiku heals. Yeah, I think I'm glad that we did Azura's right after Mitama's, because it sort of showed me, oh, Haiku's not actually that bad. All right, I'm gonna rearrange these slightly because kidnap and capture are the same thing. It's how you capture generics. These go into awesome. Some people will be mad that I didn't put them in superb, and then some people will be mad that I put them in awesome, that they're too high. But capturing gives you a very wide toolkit. Niles's is better because the captures in Birthright kind of suck. Although Orochi can capture the captures in Rev, which are the best captures, and Niles can't. Because Rev captures are the best, Conquest captures are the second best, Birthright captures are garbage. The Conquest captures are also usually worse than your trained units, because the enemy units will have skills that are difficult for you to deal with, but oftentimes less beneficial in your hands. Stuff like lunge chains, stuff like not having good stats, but having silver weapons, right? And you don't get the weapons on captured enemies. But they do give you a versatile toolkit. The Paralog bosses are fan favorites for capturing because they have, especially in shared paralogs, like hyperinflated stats can be nice. There's some weird skill combos. I know people like Pass Falco if they don't want to play Conquest Endgame, but like Conquest Endgame is peak, so why would you want to skip that map? People like Rallyman, but like you can build your own rally bot far sooner than Rallyman would join you. And like if you build Laszlo, it's just better because he does more stats, right? But even someone like Selena or like the Gen 2 units, you can get much earlier than Rallyman. Move +1 ninjas if you need another lock toucher, but like if you've trained up Niles to capture them, you don't need another lock toucher, right? Like it'll be a Bow Knight. It's a very flexible toolkit, but with almost every tool, there's like a, okay, but why not use this that's better? The exception is rally defense on Haitaka early on. That's earlier than you can get rally defense unless you've done like Wyvern, Jacob, or Felicia, which is, I think, not super advisable. Yeah. There's, like, you can find things to do with captured units. They're also, like, in an Iron Man, they're more disposable than your named units, although I would argue sacrificing named characters is based. I think that for the amount of possibilities that capturing gives you, it can't be any lower than the bottom of A tier, but I also think in general, in Conquest, most things you'll be like, oh, well, I've got someone who just does that job better. In Rev, you get sort of the power spike with the pre-promotes, capturing pre-promotes, where they have just like better stats than your units, and that can fill a niche, right? That can fill a niche, the niche being good fucking stats. But then eventually you get like Ryoma, Xander, Fuga, and you can't capture people in Vala, so their stats will fall off, which is sort of the downside there. But yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. You know what's not cool is Flora's personal skill, Icy Blood. Okay, this is the most cope of all time. This is like the bottom of Cope. This is worse than Selena's Cope because it's so fucking bizarre to activate. So, Flora needs to be at less than full HP and fight a non-adjacent foe. If she takes damage from a non-adjacent foe, counters the attack for full damage, and inflicts -3 skill, -3 speed on foe after combat. Okay, that's better than Selena, because, like, countering for full damage. Is the wiki correct about this? I feel like the wiki's wrong about this. Most counters are half damage. Yeah, the wiki just lists it wrong. It's half damage. Okay, no, I'm gonna put you down there. It's so stupid to activate. It's so stupid to activate. Flora's not a bulky unit. She's gotta already be below full HP, which means she's lived a hit despite not being bulky, and then needs to live another one despite not being bulky, right? I'd much rather use the fucking Selena crit strats. You know, Odin and Ophelia with Selena, like marry Selena, and then Selena and Odin as support can attack stance to try to get double crits. I'd do that. I'd cope on that before I cope on Icy Blood. And I've used Icy Blood. I've used Icy Blood to secure boss kills before. I've also used fucking Shuriken Mastery to secure boss kills. So, like, do as I say, not as I do. I do bad things. Fierce Mane. -10 avoid to all units within 2 tiles. Imagine if it was 10 tiles. Within 2 tiles of Benny. Because it's Benny's personal skill. I think this falls into Superb. I like this better than Pride, worse than Lily's Poise. -10 avoid, just, it's a nice reliability buffer. And the fact that it stacks with Heartseeker means that it is like a very good tool for killing throne bosses who can be very dodgy. Not much to say other than like extra hit is always good. Okay, Parry, Bloodlust. If the end user initiates combat and defeats the target, so when you kill someone on player phase, grants +4 strength, +4 magic, +4 skill, +4 speed until end of, or for the rest of the turn. And that includes on enemy phase, which is sort of how you make use of it, unless you're dancing parry. I think this skill is actually pretty awesome. It doesn't stack with rallies, so it falls off going later. I think I like it better than the capture skills, worse than Jacob's skill. It's a nice way to give parry like good enemy phases or give parry a justification for getting danced. Parry needs the damage boost. It's unfortunate that it's a strength and magic because it's basically a wasted stat. Like either you're attacking with magic, which you shouldn't because it's parry, or you're attacking with strength. But hey, you know, strength, skill, speed helps her double some stuff. That's good. Helps her stop getting doubled. That's good. You know, I think this is awesome. I think this qualifies as awesome. Gallant. This is on Siegbert. If the user is supporting a female lead unit, the lead unit deals 2 extra damage. This is better than nothing. Makes you into like a good, this might actually be awesome. Makes you into like a good pair-up bot. Siegbert has natural access to both Wyvern and Great Knight, which are good pair-up bot classes. Yeah, I'll put it here. Above the captures, below parry. Seems pretty good. Counters interview with Soleil, but like Soleil can find another partner, right? It's fine. Oh, that's Sakura's. That's Sakura's, isn't it? Quiet Strength. -2 damage to all allies within a 2-tile radius of the user. I like this a little bit less than Rallying Cry, but it's super useful in the early game of both Rev and Birthright, right? Because you want to do a decent amount of enemy phasing with your ninjas. The fact that rods are 2 range synergizes with Quiet Strength very well. It's nice. It's just really nice. You can stack Quiet Range and Gentle Ohm or Demoiselle by having Sakura 2 tiles away and then a maid like Jacob or Felicia 1 tile away. And then you get like the +4 defense. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like Quiet Strength. I think it's awesome. Midori! Midori Cope time. Midori Cope time. What is it called? It's the luck one, right? Plus 20% chance for luck activated skills. Yeah, Lucky Charm, plus 20% for luck activated skills. Not even all activated skills, just the luck ones. Luck activated skills include like Miracle, Profiteer. Miracle and Profiteer are the two that people like to cope on. I mean, it is a cope skill, right? Like this is the cope of all time. Actually, it might be worse than Flores because it actively convinces people to do dumb strategies like fucking miracle stacking. There's something about the Midori skill that infects your brain and is like, oh, but Miracle's actually good now. I know Miracle's a bad skill, but it's actually good now because Midori, because of Midori gaming. The proc skills are unreliable, and it doesn't even affect all of them. It doesn't even affect the good ones. It's like Salvage Blow, Kaze's Miraculous Save, Miracle, and Profiteer. And I think that's it. There might be another one, but it doesn't affect like Astra, doesn't affect Luna, doesn't affect Soul, doesn't affect any of the combat proc skills. Doesn't affect, oh, does it? I think it affects the Fortune one from OmniOG. Or from, Diviner, rather. But who fucking cares about that? Who fucking cares about that? Why are we coping it? Oh my god. Yeah, it's, not very good. Alright, what is this next one? It looks like it should be Rallying Cry, but it's not. Oh, it's Fortunate Son. Plus 5 dodge to the user, plus 15 dodge to all allies within a 2-tile radius. I really like this. This basically turns off crits. It's a bigger boost than the Bronze Axe gets, right? Than the Bronze Weapons get. I really like Fortunate Son. I'm gonna put it in Superb, right below Baruka's skill. Just not having to worry about enemy crit is so nice. It's good even against like killer weapons. It's the fact you can sort of negate it by equipping bronze weapons or get the effect by equipping bronze weapons is like, you know, not great for it, but it lets you use non-bronze weapons if you still want the anti-crit effect, right? Or rather like the anti-crit on you, the extra crit avoid, because you will crit with non-bronze weapons, which is sometimes detrimental, if you're doing like guard gauge math stuff. But yeah, I like Fortunate Son. I like Fortunate Son quite a bit. Misfortunate is the worst personal skill in the game. So this gives enemies nearby -10? Where's Misfortunate? Prodigy, Aching Blood, Counterburst, Misfortunate. -5 to the user's dodge, -15 to enemies within a 2-tile radius. So like this is sort of gamble, but instead of getting rid of your hit, it gives rid of your crit avoid. And then Arthur just gets crit and fucking dies. This is bad for the same reason that gamble is bad. It's not a worthwhile trade-off. You don't have enough like crit stacking skills. It's at least good on Arthur, like since he gets access to gamble. But not really because he doesn't have Oni access. So he can't even like fully do the crit build. This is so fucking unfortunate. I mean, it's called Misfortunate for a reason. I guess it would make sense that it's unfortunate, but this is not good. This is not good. Is that supportive? That's supportive. So anyone that Corrin has a C support with, Corrin grants 2 extra damage dealt, -2 damage taken, and +10 hit rate if they're the support partner. And again, this can be backpack or attack stance. In Conquest, it's very nice to attack stance with the Dragonstone. I mean, in all 3 routes, it's nice to attack stance with the Dragonstone. If you've got a more support-oriented Corrin build, they can go as a backpack, and that'd be nice. Or if you're doing Vow of Friendship stuff and you need to keep Corrin safe as a backpack, them giving supportive to someone, +10 hit, +2 damage dealt, -2 damage taken is just such a swing in terms of your combat. I'm gonna put supportive. It's one of the best personal skills, I think. Because if you're doing attack stance game, you can apply to multiple units at the same time, too. I think I'm going to put it above Rose's Thorns. I think this unseats Rose's Thorns. because it's also, like, if you're doing attack stance, it's also adjacency. +2, -2 versus +3, -1. Very similar, but the 10 hit, I think, takes it. I think this is better than Rose's Thorns. And maybe I'll regret saying that, but it's Corrin, right? Of course Corrin has supports with fucking everyone. The C support or higher is a condition. Maybe it's worse than Rose's Thorns. Rose's Thorns is so good. I want to believe the 10 hit is the difference maker. I want to believe that. But the C rank, I think, cancels it out, unfortunately. Because you do need to get those supports. It's very fucking good, though. It's very fucking good. Shuriken Mastery is not very good. So, if you're damaged by a dagger, you counter for half damage and full debuff. This is cope. This is like slightly less conditional Icy Blood with a better effect. I've used this to kill Flora, like Shuriken Mastery versus Icy Blood. Oh, right. Also, like all counter skills, if you counter, you don't get experience for it. So that's unfortunate. Like, if the counter kills. If Shuriken Mastery kills. But yeah, this is cope. This is cope as shit. What is this one? Oh, this is Nor Entity. That's Highwayman. Okay, Highwayman does not belong in Superb. Good thing I found that. Highwayman is a... it's a seal skill. -3 strength, -3 speed. Already not great. On foes who can't counterattack. Shura is at least in a bow class, so there's a lot of foes that can't counterattack. But -3 strength, -3 speed is not a great debuff effect. I think this is better than nothing, but it's like worse than Sizos. Sorry for anyone who was screaming at the screen that I mixed up Highwayman and Nor Entity. In my defense, they're both red circles with black symbols in them. So is Capture. Hopefully I haven't mixed up anything else. I had to double check all the servant skills, right? Because they're just the same symbol but different colors. But yeah, that was a close one. Highwayman is not very good, but it's better than nothing. I don't think it's quite cope tier, because you can minus speed someone and then like double, and that's kind of cool. And like, it's basically automatic if Shura stays an outlaw or goes Bow Knight, which are his two best classes, or goes ninja. Like, he can go into ninja or mechanist, master ninja or mechanist, and again, like, just not get countered. Basically everything won't counter him if he has daggers, right? Other than other dagger users and mages. But yeah, pretty good for him. Next up is Perfectionist. When at full HP, this is Tsubaki. When at full HP, +4 damage dealt. This is a slightly worse version of Fiery Blood, because it's harder to keep the full HP. Like, you gotta put in a little bit of extra elbow grease to do it. But for all the reasons that Fiery Blood is good, Perfectionist is good. 4 extra damage is nice. Tsubaki definitely needs it. Oh, it's not 4 extra damage. It's 15 hit, 15 avoid. It's still awesome. The extra hit rate is nice. Yeah, put it here. I like it less than Leo's, but I like it more than Jacob's. Sorry, Jacob. Like, you're catching strays, but but you should have had a better personal skill. Collector. This is Keaton's personal skill, and it gives him a chance on, I think, the first 7 turns to get my castle resources. Forager, Prodigy, Collector, yeah. Luck % chance. Oh, yeah, for the first 7 turns of obtaining 3 miracles or foods. So my castle resources. I usually play with infinite my castle resources, which would make this functionally worthless. I think even without, it's cope, but it's probably like the same level of cope as make a killing. So I'm gonna put it about there. That seems about right to me. This is Playthings. Okay, this is Selkie's personal skill, and it is weird. At the start of turn, deal 5 damage to all adjacent foes. Unfortunately, Selkie is not a super tanky unit, but extra damage is nice. Like, it's better than nothing. I'll put it like here above Sophie, below Forest. Just because I think Forest, no, I'll put it above Forest. The 5 damage, well, no, because Forest can kill stuff with his. This is non-lethal extra damage. Yeah, I'll put it here. 5 damage, it can sometimes make the difference in terms of kill counts. The problem is, if enemies are adjacent to Selkie at the start of turn, they probably attacked her. They probably got countered. Why are they not dead? So maybe it's like below Sophie, and below Azura, and below Kana, and below Mitama, and below Hisame. Yeah, I think about there. I think about there is probably pretty good. Optimist is on Kiragi. +4 speed, +8 luck when hitting weight. So it's like better stats than Calm, but on a unit that wants to wait less often. You don't enemy phase with bow units super well. There's ways you can set it up. And the +4 speed is nice, but Kiragi's not exactly bulky either. The 8 luck is like whatever, but 4 speed is good. You can have him wait, dance, and then have like that function as a rally speed. I put it here. It's better stats, but the same general problem of it basically only activates when you don't have anything better to do. So rarely do I hit weight with Kiragi. Like, he's just good at combat, right? Miraculous Save is Miracle. If Kaze is the backup unit, luck % chance to Miracle to have a unit survive a lethal attack at 1 HP. This is, like, do I have to explain why Miracle's bad? You should not be letting your units take nearly lethal damage in a game with permadeath. You should not be letting your units take lethal damage in a game with permadeath, rather, because it only activates on lethal. It turns lethal damage into non-lethal. It's bad. It's quite bad. Prodigy is good, but Prodigy is probably the most misunderstood skill. So, if the foe's strength or magic, whichever one is higher than the user's strength and magic, whichever one is higher, you deal +4 damage to the user. So what that means is, let's say you're facing a sorcerer. The sorcerer has higher magic, right? If their magic is higher than both your strength and your magic, then you get the damage boost. But if their magic is lower than either your strength or your magic, you do not get the damage boost. So hopefully that made sense. I think that's a better way. Like, this skill is not explained super well in game, because it makes it sound like, oh, against magical enemies, they need to have more magic than Kaldori's magic. But no, they need to have more magic than Kaldori's strength and then Kaldori's magic. It checks both strength and magic for both units, and it doesn't just check them against each other. It checks strength against both strength and magic, and it checks magic against both strength and magic. But if you achieve this condition, +4 damage. +4 damage is good, as I keep saying. It's a harder condition to get than Fiery Blood, but I think it's still superb. It's still, you know, she's a prodigy for a reason. Actually, put it like here, because these are free also. Free activation. All right, is that Ryoma's or his son's? I think that's his son's. Because Bushido's the one that's just a sword. So yeah, this is Noble Cause. If this is Shiro, if user is the lead unit to a supporting unit whose HP is not full, +3 damage dealt, but -1 damage received. So basically, if you are in attack stance with someone who's not at full HP, or if you're in guard stance and the backpack doesn't have full HP, you get a damage boost, but you also take more damage. I think this qualifies as awesome. It's worse than Leo's, I think. The +1 damage taken is definitely unfortunate, especially for a tanky unit like Shiro, who wants to be taking big enemy phases. But it's a relatively easy condition to get. Just get someone injured and have them be your backpack, right? Or have them be your dual striker. it's very frequent in Fates that you're running around with a large number of injured units, because it's just below 100% HP. They don't need to be like below 50 or anything like Corrin. Of course, it's less powerful than Vow of Friendship, but it's still relatively easy to activate. All right, Rivalry. I think it's Rivalry. Competitive. So this is Takami's personal skill. If Takami is the lead and his support partner has a higher or equal level than him, he gets plus 10 crit, plus 3 damage dealt, minus 1 taken. It's not actually that hard to activate this condition. Azura is usually going to be a higher level, and promoted units will always count as a higher level. And this is a decent damage buff for a unit that otherwise can somewhat struggle. I think this is like better than Sakura, but worse than Hinoka, because Hinoka buffs multiple people. Plus 3 minus 1, right? Like that's a Rose's Thorns effect. If you have him with Camilla, you get double Rose's Thorns, because she gives Rose's Thorns for being adjacent, and then she's definitely a higher level than Takumi. So that activates competitive. I think that's really good. I think that's honestly, maybe these should be, all 4 of these should be in Superb. But I think Superb is getting crowded, right? I think this is a very good, very easy to activate, and very impactful skill. In Rev, on his join map, it allows him to score kills with Attack Stance Azura against a large number of enemies that he would otherwise not get kills on. I don't know the numbers in terms of his birthright ones, and Takami, there are a lot of units who don't activate it. Like, it's trivial to activate in terms of you always have someone who can get it, but it can be a little bit awkward to activate because the positioning requires that he actually be near specific units. And like Camilla Attack Stance, right, is very competitive. Everyone wants to be standing next to Camilla. They can grab her titties that way. So like, it's trivial in terms of you always have the ability to activate it, but it's difficult in terms of your positioning can sometimes be awkward, if that makes sense. This is Goodie Basket, right? Yeah, this is Goodie Basket. It is a luck % chance to recover 10% HP at the start of turn on Valoria. I think this is Cope. 10% and luck %. I think this is Cope. I'm gonna put it above Collector because I personally play with infinite resources, so maybe I'm like undervaluing Collector a little bit, but 10% is just not that much. Even on a high HP unit like Valoria, that's gonna be like 4 or 5 HP. It's just not great. Puissance. Oh, Puissance. This is Effie's personal skill. And this is pretty darn good. Is it +4? If the user's strength is at least 5 points higher than the target's, +3 damage dealt by user. So this is the winners get better, like the good get better skill. You have to already be out-strengthening your enemies by 5, and you get a 3 damage boost. Against mages, this is free, but against other enemies, Effie oftentimes just activates it because she has very good strength. You can push her over the threshold with backpacks. I'm gonna put this below Opportunist because I think they're relatively equally difficult to activate, but 3 is less than 4. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I like it more than Fortunate Son. Oh god, another healing skill. Why are there all these Cope healing skills? This is Asuji's. It's Sweet Tooth. Choosing to wait recovers 4 HP. Get in the Cope tier. Get like over here. At least Asuji is like an enemy phase tank. Like he's a relatively tanky ninja. And sometimes he just chooses to wait because he waits in position to tank stuff. And so like then, yeah, the extra strength or the extra HP is good, but like, God. All right, this is Leadership Star. This is the Leadership Star. This is the Yukimura skill. It's basically just Leadership Stars. It's like 5 hit to everyone on the field. +5 hit, yeah. Presperius, +5 hit to all allies. It's on Yukimura. This is awesome. I like hit rates. I'm gonna put it here, above Takumi, below Hinoka. This is Tharia's, or not Tharia's, Rajat. Well, I mean, Rajat is Tharia, right? I think canonically, question mark? Either way, Vendetta. This is such a fucking cope skill. So Vendetta, if fought the target before at least once during the same battle, +4 damage dealt by the user. Hey, +4 damage is nice. You have to fight the same person. I guess it's better than nothing. I thought the condition was harder to achieve. I thought it was the same person twice in a row. But it says during the same battle. I assume that means during the same map. If the wiki's lying to me and I'm putting this too high, you know, blame the wiki. But it seems like it doesn't fall off. It's not literally always the same person in a row. 4 damage is a lot. Is this awesome? Is this just awesome? This might just be awesome. Okay, I'm putting it above Leo, because Leo also, because this is basically like 2 rounding, right? The 2 rounding skills. I like +4 better than +3 -1. So yeah, I'll put it above Leo. And again, if the wiki's lying to me and it has to be twice in a row, blame the wiki, sorry. Guarded Bravery. -2 damage taken when the user is the lead unit, and that means attack stance or backpack. +2 damage taken if the unit is not in attack stance or backpack. This is just free defense. Because when are you not, aside from when Ignatius is a green unit, because this is Ignatius' skill, aside from when he's a green unit and you're rushing to save him, when are you not taking advantage of either tag team or pair up? This is Fates. We always use tag team and pair up. Just a free +2 is nice. Like here, because this is like just about as free. Yeah. Hana. Oh god, Hana's blow. Hana blows. Fearsome Blow. So on player phase, if you kill an enemy on player phase, other foes adjacent take 20% of their maximum HP as damage. This is like Saizo tier, right? This is like the same thing as Saizo. I'll put it like here. It's easier to activate, and it does the little bit of chip that Saizo's does. So I like it for similar reasons. I think I actually like it better than Sophie's, because Sophie's, it's the same unit you attack. This is someone other than who you attack. Actually, this might be the best of the better than nothing skills. Chip people down 20%, set up a kill. Like, that's pretty good. It has to be adjacent enemies, and that can sometimes be awkward to set up, because it's not within 2 tiles, it's adjacent. Maybe there, maybe there. Unmask. This is Charlotte's personal skill, Unmask, and this is only effective against female units, but you get +4 damage and +20 crit rate. Charlotte does have access to Gamble, which is another crit skill. There's just not a lot of female enemies. It's like Sky Knights and Maids, and I think those are the only female. Oh, Kinshi as well. I'm gonna say better than nothing, but it rarely comes up. Like, +4 is a lot. But there's so few enemies that it's actually relevant against, because they're all female. It's good in PvP, because there's a lot of, like, female all-stars of PvP. Oh, this is Shigure's, it's Rally HP! It's not Rally HP, it's called something different. But it means when you rally, perfect pitch, on rally, restores 10% HP to allies within a 2-tile radius, who have lower HP than the user. So you do need to have higher HP than them to rally HP. But this is still better than nothing, right? It's like, I think it comes up more often than Charlotte's does. So I'm gonna put it here. It's nice if you've got a rally bot Shigure anyway, just to have that little bit of extra healing. I have accidentally shut off Vantage with it before, but I don't think that's enough for it to be detrimental, because that's so situational, where it's like, Shigure is your rally bot, you can't avoid, like, if you want to rally someone's magic, which I was rallying Orochi's magic, but then I turned off her Vantage and she fucking died. But that, like, you know, that's so niche that can't be detrimental. Reyna's personal skill, Morbid Celebration. When initiating combat and defeating the foe, you heal 20% HP. Reyna kills enemies a lot. She's kind of frail-ish, so the heal is not like... It's not like she's a tank where the heal's a lot, but it adds up over time. She can usually take one hit, at least on join. I think this is like worse than Quiet Strength, better than Vendetta. Worse than Vendetta, better than Pragmatic. Yeah. In Extremis, this is Wrath. This is basically Wrath. It's Scarlet's personal skill, and it is when at 25% or lower HP, gain 30 crit. Without Corrin, Scarlet gets no other, because she has General, Wyvern, and Outlaw, I want to say? I don't think she gets any other crit skills without Corrin help, because her base, she has no supports. Her base kit is Wyvern, Wyvern, Outlaw, and and Armor Knight, yeah. This is a cope skill. This is a cope skill. 30 crits a lot, but it's still a cope skill. All right, Xander. This is Xander. This is the nobility. This is Pragmatic, but for full HP. Chivalry. If foe has full HP, plus 2 damage dealt, minus 2 damage taken by the user. That's pretty darn good. You fight full HP foes more often than you fight injured foes. I think this is superb. I think this is better than Puissance, worse than Opportunist. Bushido is the bulk booster. Bushido is why Ryoma is bulkier than he seems. So if Ryoma is supporting someone of a lower level, which almost everyone in your army is going to be lower level than Ryoma, he gets 10 crit, 2 extra damage dealt, 2 less damage taken. This is super easy to activate. It is easier than Chivalry to activate, just to have a backpack on Ryoma. Like, hey, if you didn't train Rinka, make her Ryoma's backpack. Then she'll always be a lower level than Ryoma, right? You get the same effect, but also 10 crit. It's very fucking good. Yeah, it's very fucking good. All right, what is this purple cloud of nonsense? I don't recognize that one. Oh, that's Daydream. That's the Nina skill. If the user is adjacent to paired male allies, plus 2 damage dealt, minus 2 damage taken. Better than nothing, but that's so situational to set up. 2-2 is a very good threshold in terms of damage, but being next to paired up men is a big ask. Like, that would be cope if it didn't boost your stats as much as it does. And then Wind Disciple. If the user is at not full HP, 10 extra hit, 10 extra avoid. This is on Fuga. Fuga can be on low HP. He doesn't even have to be on low HP, just not full HP. For as long as you want, he'll never fucking die. This is awesome. This is like... here? Because Fuga's bulky. And so being at low HP is like... or not even low HP. Being at not full HP is like shrug emoji, right? Like, he's fine. So it's just free extra hit and avoid. I guess it's not... maybe it's better than nothing. Extra hit and avoid. I like the extra hit. It helps Fuga against thrown people. When you fight him on the throne, it helps him against you, which is unfortunate. Yeah, I kind of like how this list looks. Again, Vendetta might be too high if the wiki's lying, because the wiki fucking lied about Icy Blood. The wiki fucking lies about Icy Blood. Thank you to my patrons, including Logs, Glupshido, Erica Ford, Perg Knight, YLO1, George Grenville the 7th PM, Jamie Collins, Arvis, Crispy Matthews, Floa Hay, Amy Hazel, Hungry Hearts, Hound Dogs, Burnt to Cinders, Ziggy WSB, Lovis Roman, Shinthia, Faulty Videos, Kyle Madison, Derek Williams, Anna Cabana, The Daily Fugle, Faye, Magic Bite, Thoughtful Insanity, Robin Goodfeller, JT Spritter, Laura Hunter, Dicyke, Chris, Root Beer Pants, Queen Elizam, Control Tages, Roman Kormancic, Nick Knack Hammersmack, Carrier Has Left, Angel Knock Caceres, Zanwiff, Not Gino, Name Number 5, Squid Stats, Flingon, Edward C., Cyrockin 2, Cabbage, Caius Cole, Bree, Punchfighter Champion, Eggman, Maxine the Vampire Queen, Sardonic Muse, Wesley Toma, Sensitive Luigi, Rage, Dr. Frying Pan, Femto Illness, Wannabe Cinnabon, Punk Tattoo Guy, Key the Iron Idol, Jackson McMahon, Saren Gurlixy, Rezi, Dino Anna, Andu, Rhea, Gameboo, Carosa, Fyrant, Your Doctor, Frozen Helm, KH, Girl Boss, Lizard Pongwater, Christopher Bueno, Marin McLean, Jaden, Dylan Solis, Some Trades, Alice, Guiji555, Smaz Ruby, Robin D, Alenby, They Thom, Clan, Pillow Willow, Gabe the Green, and especially my Jagans, Hime Rowan, Siggy, Autumn, and Dragonback Lancer. Your support makes these videos possible, and if you would like to have early access to and potentially the ability to vote on these videos, check a link to my Patreon out below. But please only donate if you can comfortably afford to do so. I don't want anyone going broke over Fire Emblem. Regardless of what you choose to do, I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe, gamers.